and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Lipakshi. Let's begin with the headlines first. China sets its sights on Afghanistan, prompts apprehensions about debt trap expansionism. Jammu and Kashmir government organizes job fair in Srinagar. And Gilgit-Baltistan locals complain against unlawful land grabbing. Let's begin the show. After leaving a number of smaller countries on the verge of high and dry, China, the one-of-a-kind villain in current global politics, has now set its sight on Afghanistan, a war-torn South Asian country that has been facing increasing global marginalization owing to its appalling human rights track record. A prolonged stressed financial system has already resulted in widespread unemployment, economic deprivation and high inflation in Afghanistan. China has latched on to the opportunity. From oil extraction to lithium deposits, China is eyeing Afghanistan's both untapped and underexplored reserves and facilities. A gullible Taliban, which doesn't have many options to look forward to, is blindly following Beijing because all it wants now is a better life for its people. The larger question at hand is whether China's interests in Afghanistan are truly people-oriented. There is a unanimous no among expert circles.
Foreign ministers of China, Afghanistan and Pakistan recently met in Islamabad in furtherance of Beijing's unrelenting efforts to tap new investment avenues under its Belt and Road Initiative. Apart from discussing a host of regional issues including security, the three sides reached a unanimous agreement to further extend the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, to Afghanistan. Observers believe that Beijing is seeking to exploit untapped natural resources in Afghanistan, which have an estimated value of over $3 trillion. The country is rich in resources like copper, gold, oil, natural gas, uranium, bauxite, coal, iron ore, rare earth, lithium, chromium, lead, zinc, gemstones, talc, sulfur, travertine, gypsum, and marble. Earlier in January of this year, the Taliban-led administration signed a contract with China's state-owned company, China National Petroleum Corporation, to extract oil from the Amu Darya Basin and develop an oil reserve in the Saripul province.
They've initially promised an investment of $450 million, and in the first year they plan to invest $150 million, and these are in oil fields. Afghanistan has some oil which is unable to extract, which the Chinese will. Now this is basically the China is testing waters in Afghanistan because Afghanistan has a lot of mineral reserves. For example, it has lithium, it also has tremendous iron ore reserves. So China, which is a growing economy, which is hungry for material resources and which is eyeing lithium because China wants to make a slash in electric vehicles, and lithium is a source of, is one of the key components when it comes to making batteries. So China is looking at Afghanistan as a country from where precious materials can be extracted.
Why has China been granted such easy access to Afghanistan's mineral reserves? According to the Brookings Institution, the Taliban's rule has progressively hardened and become more authoritarian and dogmatically like their reign in the 1990s. This has led to the suspension of operations by major international humanitarian organizations in the country. Foreign aid has nearly all but dried up. Almost half of the Afghan population was projected to be acutely food insecure between November of 2022 and March of 2023, with 6 million on the brink of famine. The deteriorating economic situation in Afghanistan has forced the Taliban-led government to let Chinese investment into the country. Security is the most important issue that China is currently concerned about in Afghanistan, especially in the most remote of areas. Major Chinese investments have been targeted by the Islamic State Khorasan province and other terrorist groups. Although Chinese investment in Afghanistan is growing exponentially, the security of their citizens and workers remains to be a concern.
Chinese are very much aware of the threats posed by ISIS to its projects. So I believe that one of the things that Chinese would be expecting from the Taliban is to make sure there is a lot of political stability within Afghanistan and make sure that many of its projects are protected by Taliban.
Beijing is closely allying itself with Islamabad to engage the Taliban government in Kabul with an aim to gain easy access into Afghanistan. China was the first country to welcome the Taliban delegation, led by Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, after the drawdown of US and NATO forces from war-ravaged Afghanistan. The meeting with the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Tianjin was largely focused on engaging Afghanistan to join the Belt and Road Initiative. While the West continues to stay away from Afghanistan, China has no qualms about exploiting the trillions of dollars worth of untapped natural resources from the country.
Well, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is fast headed towards socio-economic transformation owing to sincere efforts by the authorities. With the motive of boosting employment opportunities for youngsters in the region, recently a day-long job fair was organized at the Amar Singh College in Srinagar. Take a look.
The government of Jammu and Kashmir has been committed to providing the youngsters a platform to grab job opportunities and strive to boost the economy. Recently, a day-long job fair was organized by the Department of Employment at Amar Singh College in Srinagar. Its objective was to facilitate employment opportunities for the youth in the region. The job fair aimed at bridging the gap between the job providers in different sectors and the youth of the Union Territory.
These things should happen because Kashmir is now moving towards a different thing, moving towards a private or engaging into a private commercial activities. So yes, it's completely a plus point to have this sort of these sort of activities taken by the government. It eventually helps us. At the end of the day, it is helping Kashmir. So anything taken for Kashmir eventually has to help for Kashmir. So yeah, I guess it's completely a good initiative taken by the government of Kashmir, and they should do these sort of things. With if we are able to privatize things, inshallah, in near future we will also be able to groom on a different scale. So yeah, that's the plus point.
More than 2,500 job seekers participated in the event. 570 candidates were shortlisted by different companies, while 110 candidates were selected by skill development institutions for skill upgradation training in different sectors. The future for youth in Jammu and Kashmir seems to be headed in the right direction through the efforts of the government towards creating a market model based on new ideas and innovations.
हमारा जो प्रेजेंटली पोस्ट इस टाइम पे है अवेलेबल है, इट इज़ LIC एडवाइज़र. इसमें हम दो किस्म के बंदों को लेते हैं, एक रूरल एरिया और दूसरा सिटी वाले बंदे अर्बन एरिया के. जो रूरल एरिया के हैं उनको हम बाज़ाब्ता स्टेपेंड भी रखते हैं पहले 2 साल प्लस कमीशन, जो वो जितना वो काम करेंगे उसका कमीशन भी मिलेगा. तो जो सिटी वाला है उसको हम 1 साल के लिए स्टेपेंड प्लस कमीशन. जो हम बंदे सिलेक्ट करते हैं इनका काम है टू सेल लाइफ इंश्योरेंस. आपको पता ही होगा, लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की एक वाहिद कंपनी है जो गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में है. तो इसके बाद वन से अपॉइंट हो गए LIC में एज एडवाइजर्स. उनके लिए फिर जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, ये परमानेंट जॉब्स के लिए जो हमारे सारे रोल्स पे होते हैं, जैसे डेवलपमेंट ऑफिसर्स, ADOs, AAO असिस्टेंट्स वगैरह, उसके लिए भी अप्लाई करते हैं.
The job fair proved to be fruitful for the youth as it provided opportunities for qualified aspirants to register for jobs in multiple fields while providing them with the right tools and resources for the same.
And now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Germany's Defense Minister Boris Pistorius met with his Indian counterpart Rajnath Singh last week in New Delhi to boost bilateral ties between the two nations. Pistorius, who was on a 4-day visit to India, was greeted by a ceremonial reception with an honor guard in the capital and laid a wreath at the National War Memorial. Bilateral defense cooperation and industrial ties are the topics likely to have dominated discussions at the meeting between the two defense chiefs. According to media reports, ahead of his visit, Pistorius said that India's reliance on Russian weapons is not a topic that concerns Germany. The Coast Guard of the United States, Japan and the Philippines held a trilateral maritime exercise in the South China Sea, the first such maneuvers between them. Held in the waters of Bataan province, officials said over 500 Coast Guard personnel from the three nations participated in the exercise, which included counter-piracy simulations and an interception exercise involving a vessel carrying weapons of mass destruction. Japan, Australia and the United States have frequently condemned China's militarization in the South China Sea and have sought to engage closer with US ally, the Philippines, since Ferdinand Marcos Jr. took over as president last year from pro-China predecessor Rodrigo Duterte. Nepal Prime Minister Pushp Kamal Dahal has asserted his 4-day-long recent visit to India has played a pivotal role to take the relationship between the two nations to new heights. Addressing the meeting of the National Assembly to appraise the Assembly about his entourage of India from May 31st to June 3rd, PM Dahal highlighted the progress made during the visit.
नेपाल र भारत बीच पुरानो तथा घनिष्ठ सम्बन्ध रहिआएको छ। मेरो भ्रमण आगामी दिनमा द्विपक्षीय सम्बन्धलाई अझ प्रगाढ बनाउने दिशामा केन्द्रित रह्यो। विशेष गरी आर्थिक मामिलामा राष्ट्रको दीर्घकालीन हितमा सम्झौताहरू भएका छन् भने राजनीतिक मामिलामा आपसी विश्वास बढाउँदै छलफल र वार्ताद्वारा निकास खोज्ने कुरामा केन्द्रित रह्यो। भारतीय प्रधानमन्त्री श्री नरेन्द्र मोदीसँग नयाँ दिल्ली स्थित हैदराबाद हाउसमा भएको द्विपक्षीय भेटवार्ता सबैभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण थियो। सो अवसरमा व्यापार, पारवाहन, लगानी प्रवर्धन, ऊर्जा व्यापार तथा क्रस बोर्डर ट्रान्समिसन लाइन, सिंचाई, बाढी तथा डुबान नियन्त्रण, कृषि, सीमा वारपार सम्पर्क कनेक्टिभिटी बढाउन, रेलवे सेवा सञ्चालन कार्य, पुल निर्माण तथा एकीकृत जाँच चौकी एवं सुक्खा बन्दरगाह जस्ता पूर्वाधार निर्माण कार्य अगाडि बढाउने विषयमा छलफल केन्द्रित भयो।
Dahal stated that PM Modi also talked about taking the Nepal-India relations to the Himalayan heights. Prime Minister Dahal reiterated that his 4-day-long official visit to India at the invitation of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was centered on further consolidating bilateral relations. Dahal asserted that positive agreements have been made in the matters of trade, transit, irrigation, agriculture, cross-border petroleum pipeline construction, integrated checkposts and infrastructure development. He also informed the parliament that 7 papers have been signed and exchanged between Nepal and India during his recent India visit. PM Dahal added that Nepal's transit facility has been ensured through India's domestic waterway. He also stressed that his India visit has contributed to making the Nepal-India relations multidimensional and further strengthening them. A group of black-clad demonstrators set a construction site trailer ablaze in the middle of a Paris street, prompting police to charge and fire tear gas at a pension reform protest in the city. Numerous fires flared in the French capital on Tuesday, as between 400,000 and 600,000 people were expected to join the protests around France, authorities said, which would be down from more than 1 million who took part at the height of the pension protests earlier this year. In Paris, police authorities counted 31,000 demonstrators while some 400 police officers were deployed in the city. Trade unions have fought Macron's move to make the French work longer since mid-January, with rolling strikes and protests that have at times descended into violence. Macron says it was necessary to lift the legal retirement age by 2 years to 64 to plug a widening pension deficit. However, trade unions say the money can be found elsewhere, such as by taxing the wealthy more.
Discontent over the denial of basic rights and lack of development has been simmering in the form of dissent all over the illegally occupied region of Gilgit-Baltistan. For decades, people have been raising their voices against the government of Pakistan over the issue of illegal land grabs in Gilgit-Baltistan. We have a report on how the local residents raised their voices against the illegal land grabbing issue.
Anti-government sentiments have swept through Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, with residents and local leaders blaming the authorities for not paying attention to the issue of land grabbing. The locals were seen accusing the government officials of working hand in hand with the land mafia to the detriment of their lives.
उनके दर्जन मौन खुसूसी हैं, उनके पीछे चल चल कर हमारा सत्यानाश हुआ। अब प्लाट माफिया और अशराफिया के लोग गरीबों को तंग करते हैं, तो इसका मुकम्मल हल जो है के लिए हमने दरख्वास्त लेकर सूबाई हुकूमत के पास आए, वज़ीर आला के पास दरख्वास्त उसने पढ़ा, सारा तहकीक किया, नीचे पीए को लिखा कि आप डीसी को लाके पाबंद करें और इनका ये मुतालबा जायज़ मुतालबा हल करें।
Residents fear that they could soon become a minority in their own land if the influx and settlement of outsiders remain deliberate and unregulated. The decades-long discriminatory attitude of Islamabad and the practice of settler colonialism in Gilgit-Baltistan has sparked tough resistance from the locals. The regular protests and demonstrations against Pakistan in the illegally occupied territory could anytime snowball into a full-fledged rebellion in the near future.
हम इधर आए हैं इसलिए कि वज़ीर आला से मुलाकात करने के लिए। पहले भी हम आए थे इधर, तो उन्होंने एक लेटर लिख के दिया था अपना स्पीकर साहब ने, तो डीसी को दिया, डीसी ने कुछ आया माया करके उसका कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं लिया उसने। फिर आज हम फिर इधर आ गए हैं कि वज़ीर आला के साथ मुलाकात करके फिर वज़ीर आला ये कहे कि हमारे उधर प्लाट माफिया, ये ज़मीनों के मामलात बहुत ज़्यादा हैं, ये ज़मीनों की वजह से पहले भी हमारे उधर कत्ल व गारत हो गया है।
Locals blame the ruling classes of Pakistan for having imposed a colonial and bureaucratic rule on Gilgit-Baltistan for over 75 years. They say they are being deprived of their lands, pastures, minerals, and other natural resources under the guise of development, investment, and the promotion of tourism.
And now we take you to the Queen of Hills, Shimla, which recently hosted the annual summer festival that celebrates the season of summer in the picturesque hill station in Himachal Pradesh. Organized at the city's famed ridge, the Fiesta is a wonderful showcase of its rich culture and tradition. Have a look.
Presenting an amazing blend of culture, heritage, food and glamour, the Shimla Summer Festival 2023 proved to be a gala affair that brought life to the whole city. The festival is celebrated every year since 1960. The festival, through its handicraft exhibitions, fashion shows and live music performances, showcases the local culture, spirit and art of Shimla.
इस वर्ष का समर फेस्टिवल यहाँ आने वाले टूरिस्टों के लिए और यहाँ के लोगों के लिए बहुत ही आकर्षक क्षण का एक केंद्र बना हुआ है और इसके साथ साथ यहाँ पर एनजेडसीसी के माध्यम से 5 स्टेटों के कलाकारों को यहाँ पर बुलाया गया है, जिसमें कुछ ऐसे कलाकार हैं जो गलियों में और यहाँ मैदान में मॉल रोड पे और इस मैदान पे अलग अलग जगह जो है कुछ बहरूपिया कलाकार है, कोई पंजाब की नचार पार्टी है, राजस्थान के और कलाकार है, जिसमें कालबेलिया डांस है.
A fashion show was another extravagant highlight of the festival that drew the attention of people in the hill town. Around 50 students modeled at the show and presented every state's traditional attire with a modern touch. They were happy to get such an opportunity that will provide them an exposure as well as promote Himachali culture.
First of all, I would like to thank Shimla Summer Festival for giving us this big platform, especially us from Meghalaya. We didn't expect that we could get this big platform here, but I am so grateful that I could get to represent my traditions here in Shimla. What I'm wearing is this is called the muka and also the churun, and this is our traditional necklace which I'm wearing for the. In Meghalaya we have 3 tribes, which is called the Pnar, the Khasi and the Garo. I am from Pnar tribes and I am representing my Pnar tribes here, sir.
Along with enthralling dance performances, food was another enticement that drew the attention of visitors to the festival. Mouth-watering dishes in different stalls made up for a delectable experience for the visitors. From savoring local dishes like Siddu to tickling their taste buds with street food, people had a plethora of options to indulge in.
हम शिमला घूमने आए हैं, हमने यहाँ की बहुत तारीफ सुनी थी. यहाँ पे हम आए तो हमें सडनली देखा कि यहाँ पे समर फेस्टिवल चल रहा है, जो कि बहुत ही अच्छा चल रहा है. यहाँ पे तरह तरह के शोज हो रहे हैं जो कि हम और हमारे बच्चे बहुत एंजॉय कर रहे हैं. यहाँ पे फूड फेस्टिवल भी है, तरह तरह के खाने हैं और वैसे भी हम बहुत बिग फूडी हैं और हम बहुत एंजॉय कर रहे हैं. और वेदर ऑसम है क्योंकि थोड़ा रेनी है और क्लाउडी है, तो इट्स वेदर इज ऑसम. हमने बहुत एंजॉय किया यहाँ पे आके. ऑल गुड.
Overall, the Shimla Summer Festival is a wonderful conglomeration of different art and cultural performances that not just showcase the rich traditions of the state but also promote tourism.
Well, it's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back next week at the same time. This is Lipakshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.